Hello, I'm Garnet, this is Eggs! Harvest Moon DS and DSQ are two farming and life sim games developed by Marvelous Interactive. Both were released in 2005 in Japan. North America got DS in 2006, but had to wait until 2008 to get Cute. They are more or less the same game, but two differently gendered versions. DS has you playing as a boy and lets you marry girls, and Cute has you playing as a girl and lets you marry boys. Cute has a few additions and improvements from DS, so they're not exactly the same. Many, not all, but many of the glitches from DS were fixed in Cute. It will become very clear during this review, but these games are incredibly glitchy. Earlier copies of the boy version are the worst. There are fixed versions of it which are better, but they still have a lot of glitches. My copy is a very good one. You can tell how good your version is by looking at the code on the back of the cartridge. The higher those last two numbers are, the better. And like I said, all copies of Cute are fixed, but still have glitches. Story. The story in the beginning differs between the two versions. In DS, you are Pete, and you own a farm in Forget-Me-Not Valley. The game opens with the Harvest Goddess and Witch Princess fighting. The Witch Princess casts a spell that turns the goddess to stone. It was an accident, she just wanted to shut her up. While trying to fix it, she accidentally sends the goddess to another world. Oops. So naturally, she banishes all of the 101 Harvest Sprites to that world as well so they can rescue her. She then tells you to rescue all of the Harvest Sprites in order to also rescue the goddess. You did this. In Cute, you pick between being Pony or Claire, and you also own a farm in Forget-Me-Not Valley, but you are very lazy. The goddess is disappointed in you, but the Harvest King is disappointed in the Harvest Goddess. The goddess calls him Baldy, so he turns her into stone. Then he banishes her and all of the sprites to another world. The Harvest King tells you in a letter that if you work hard enough, he will eventually return the goddess and sprites. So the Witch Princess is a little more innocent in this version, but we'll talk more about her later. Also in the beginning of the boy version, you get the option to kill Thomas. You try to attack him with your tools, and when you fail, your dog attacks. If you don't call your dog off, Thomas dies and the game ends there. I don't know why you can't do this in Cute. Gameplay and controls. So after that, you get to start playing. Harvest Sprites will return as you perform certain tasks on your farm and in your life. There's 101 sprites, but the goddess will return if you get just 60 of them, which is nice because it gets less and less easy to get those little dudes. And you can't get married until you get the goddess back. You'll start out with most of the tools you'll need. You have a hoe, watering can, sickle, hammer, and axe. You can get the fishing rod from Gallon by going into his house between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. on a Saturday. And you buy the milker, shears, and brush from Yodel Ranch on the phone. The touch glove can also be bought by either calling the poultry farm or Yodel Ranch. It's an accessory that you can use either by itself or paired up with the brush, milker, or shears to play mini games that make your animals like you more and can get you better quality products. Your tools will level up the more you use them, and then you can upgrade them by getting ore from the mine and calling the blacksmith on the phone. Upgraded tools will make your work quicker and easier. The dig site where you find your ores and gems is a really unique and interesting version of the usual mines. It has unique items you can dig up with your hoe, some making really great gifts and can make you good money. There are 4 different mines inside the site, each unlocking after you get to the bottom of the previous mine. You'll want to unlock them before you get married. Anyway, there are actually enemies for you to fight in the mines. Yes, before Stardew Valley. They look like dark versions of chicks, chickens, bugs, and you. I feel really weird about killing the chicks and chickens. You fight with your tools and you can find a sword at the bottom of the second mine. You need to have at least one tool upgraded to Mistral in order to get the sword. A lot of sprites will be found through farm work, surprise surprise. For crops, you'll want to till the land in 3x3 squares with room to walk around since you cannot walk over crops. They will become a wall. You can buy seeds from either Vesta at her farm or the supermarket over the phone. Each one seed you buy will actually make 9 crops in a 3x3 square. Don't forget to water every day. Keeping animals is way harder than it should be. You will not have any barns or coops when you start out. You'll have to call the woodcutter and buy a barn or a coop made of grass, wood, stone, or golden lumber. What's the differences in these building materials? Well, you see, when it rains or storms, your buildings have a chance of collapsing, which will kill every single animal inside. Grass is the worst, even being able to collapse on sunny days. Lumber still has a pretty good chance of collapsing during storms. Stone has a pretty low chance of collapsing, but you still shouldn't trust it completely. Golden lumber is completely safe. It will never fall. But of course, the better the material, the more expensive it is. If you build with anything besides golden lumber, and you don't want your animals to die, please be careful about when you save your game. Do not save right when you wake up in the morning. Save before you go to bed. That way you can reload until your animals aren't dead. I believe you should also not save while you're stuck inside during storms. I'm trying to remember, but I think it's because you can have storms multiple days in a row, so you won't know right away if your animals are dead from the first storm or not. Just be very careful saving. Each barn or coop holds 4 animals no matter what kind you build, and you can build 7 of these buildings in total. You can buy farm animals from Yodel Ranch on the phone. Once you have your animals, take good care of them by feeding them fodder made by grass you can grow and then harvest with your sickle. You can let your animals outside, which they like, but they'll need unharvested grass outside so they can eat. You still have to place food inside for them even if they're outside. You'll also probably want to build a fence by placing down wood or stone so none of them can wander too far away. Make sure they're inside if it's raining, and during winter also, since there's no grass. And do not leave them out overnight. Your animals can become sick and die. You'll have to buy animal medicine over the phone if they get sick, but at some point they will die of old age. Your cows won't be adults until 7 days after you bought them. Then you can milk them. To milk and shear, you can get better quality products by using the touch glove, which will have you play a little mini game, as I've mentioned. You can also pet and wash them. If you want your animals to have babies instead of buying new animals, you can buy cow potions and sheep potions from Yodel Ranch and use it on them. You can only have 1 pregnant animal per barn. For poultry, you buy them from the poultry farm on the phone. You can keep both chickens and ducks, but you need to build a pond in order to unlock ducks. They'll lay eggs that you can just pick up from the ground. Ducks are neat, but you make more money with chickens. You can also buy bird feed from the poultry farm, which you need. You can't feed your birds with fodder. You can place eggs in the incubator to hatch new birds. Baby chicks. Just like with barn animals, only have your birds outside during the day when the weather is nice. They can also die from sickness. And also, like the barn animals, they can be pet and washed with the glove. You have some pets at the beginning of the game. A dog you can use to chase off wild dogs. If you keep your animals in at night starting at 6 p.m., you don't have to worry about that. You can train the dog with the dog ball, and you have a cat that just exists to be cute. After shipping 1,000 items, you get a horse that is used for fast transportation and functions as a shipping bin. I keep all 3 in the horse stable so I don't lose track of them. Also, your pets can get stuck inside your house, so don't keep them there, at least not until you're done with all house upgrades. You can pet them with the touch glove, and the horse can be washed. If you're holding your pet when you activate a cutscene, your pet will be deleted, so do not save your game if that happens. Reload your last save and make sure you're not holding the pet when you trigger the cutscene again. Fishing is my least favorite thing to do in this game. It takes way too much time, but you can get a lot of sprites from it, so yeah. Speaking of sprites, the Harvest sprites are divided into 10 teams. 7 of these teams can help you with your work if you hire them. You pay them with medals you get from the casino. You can just buy the medals, so you don't have to play the games if you don't want to. Being friends with the sprites lower the cost. Please never save while sprites are hired, especially if it's the fishing team. It can totally corrupt your save file. It doesn't happen every time, but it's not worth the risk, especially if you've gotten very far into the game. Also, sprites can't free other sprites, so hiring them is just for making more money. And on that topic, there's a glitch you can perform with the fishing team that can get you billions of G really fast. In the boy version, hire the fishing sprites at the beach during winter, and again, do not save while they're hired, please. Only after you make them stop. I have taken the risk and tried the glitch, and it worked, so now I have golden lumber buildings. Nice. Not to do with the sprites, but I'd also advise you not to save in locations that have a lot of movement. Find a nice still place to save. Corrupted save files cannot be fixed, so I really want to stress the be careful saving thing. You'll probably want to make friends with the people in the valley, especially if you're trying to marry one of them, so another warning. Be careful when you go to give someone a gift. You have to separate the item from a stack if you have several of it before you try giving it to someone. Otherwise, you'll end up giving someone the entire stack, and it doesn't count as multiple gifts if you do that. You have to give them one by one if you want to give them a lot of gifts. Characters and marriage. The characters in this are mostly the same as the Wonderful Life games for GameCube and PlayStation 2, but Samantha and Tim are missing. Lumina will be grown up from the beginning as she is a bachelorette, and the characters don't age the same way as in A Wonderful Life. Actually, you know how I said they're the same? Scratch that. They're actually completely different characters that just happen to have the same appearances, names, jobs, and family setups as the Wonderful Life and Mineral Town characters because they are their descendants 100 years later. Yes, in the Japanese version, they actually do have different names. I'll throw those names up on the screens when I go to list all the marriage candidates. There are loads of events you can trigger for the Valley's characters, and many of them are very strange, so befriending people so you can see those events is a good idea. I love it. Lots of events make the Valley feel so alive. They really need more variation in their daily dialogues, though. Yeah, we need more weird characters and events in Bokemono. Muku Muku and Dachan still exist, though unfortunately you can't buy Dachan anymore and you only see him during events. We get the same marriage candidates, but with a few more that we couldn't marry before, making it a total of 5 normal candidates per game, so 10 if you combine them. The boy version has 4 special bachelorettes. These bachelorettes can also be married in the Japanese version of Cute through the best friend system. The North American version removed that, but you can still view the heart events. Cute has 2 special bachelors, but a lot of people only know about one of them, so stay tuned. If you have Friends of Mineral Town inserted into the Game Boy Advance slot on your DS, you will unlock all of the normal Mineral Town marriage candidates. In the boy version, the game will end if you marry a Mineral Town bachelorette, but you can continue playing and have a baby with the Mineral Town bachelors and Cute. The girls got ripped off on the amount of special bachelors, so it's nice that we can at least keep playing with the Mineral Town boys. I think it's really dumb that the game ends like that in the boy version. To get married, you have to raise a candidate's heart color to red. To do this, you'll want to talk to them daily and give them gifts that they like. Everyone has their own likes and dislikes. You can't see the heart color for the special candidates. You also have to buy the big bed from the shopping channel, rescue at least 60 Harvest Sprites, trigger all 4 of their heart events, and of course buy the blue feather from the supermarket, which is the item you use to propose with. For special candidates, it's much more complicated. Normal candidates have rivals that they can get married to instead of marrying you. They do not have children. They get married if you play long enough, don't raise the heart levels of the opposite gender character, and if you watch all 4 of the rival heart events. Just like in Mineral Town. It's kind of hard to get someone stolen from you, honestly. They also can't get married until you have 60 Harvest Sprites. Let's look at all of the marriage candidates. There's a lot of them. Celia, a sweet girl that lives and works on Vesta's farm. Her rival is Marlin. Muffy, an also sweet and flirty girl that works at the Blue Bar. Her rival is Griffin. Nami, a cool girl that helps out Ruby at the inn. Her rival is Gustafa, which is interesting because I recall Nami liking Cody in A Wonderful Life. I should have put that on the iceberg. I completely forgot about that. Lumina, a spoiled sweet girl that lives with her rich grandma, Romana. Her rival is Rock. That poor girl. Flora, an archaeologist that talks with that wavy simple and works at the dig site. You couldn't marry her before, and I'm distressed that she's returned to not being a bachelorette in the Wonderful Life remake. I married her in DS, and I'm glad I did. Her rival is Carter. Marlin, a grumpy boy who works with his sister Vesta on her farm. His rival is Celia. Rock, a lazy boy. Definitely cheese. Worse than his Wonderful Life version. His rival is Lumina. Gustafa, a romantic gnome-looking guy who is musically talented. Rival is Nami. Griffin, an older man that runs the Blue Bar. Also a musician. His rival is Muffy. Carter, another older man who works at the dig site with Flora. Not the Carter I wanted to marry. Rival is Flora. Harvest Goddess, the goddess who made your life more difficult. To marry her, you must be in year 5 or later, ship at least 1 of everything, get the sword, unlock the waterfall field, find 1 of every item in the mines, have 10,000 steps on the pedometer, ship 10,000 of 1 single item, catch 10,000 of 1 fish, reach the bottom of the first mine, and find every single Harvest Sprite. All of them. In the more glitched versions, you cannot marry her. But if you can obtain buckwheat flour, then you can marry her. Witch Princess, pretty but evil. To marry her, you need to give her 10,000 presents, litter at least 10 times, kill at least 50 animals. Yes. Poison the stew at the Harvest Festival with a toadstool at least 5 times. You don't gotta kill everyone though. Try to leave the valley at least 10 times, rescue 60 Harvest Sprites, pass out at least 100 times, and know how to cook Ellie leaves. It's also impossible to marry her in more glitched versions of the game, as it may not count how many animals you've killed. I don't know if I say her name right, but Kara, a mute princess that lives on the 255th floor of the third mind. Mind? Mine. To marry her, you have to bring her very specific items for each of her heart events. Black heart is either ultimate curry or finest curry, purple is relaxed tea, blue is a random gem, and yellow is golden lumber. A little easier than the previous two special girls. Leia, a mermaid that lives in Daryl's basement. If you marry her, she lives in your duck pond. She can be blown away in a storm, so again, be careful saving. To marry her, befriend Daryl so that you can go inside his basement and buy a duck pond. Besides that, you woo her pretty much the same as any normal bachelorette. Because of both her nice personality and her easier requirements, she is my favorite of the special bachelorettes. Sky, a pretty phantom thief who only comes to the valley at night. He has a special power or whatever the chick beam actually is. I don't know. His requirements and events are pretty normal, not too difficult to marry. You just have to be willing to make your farmer stay up till like at least 10 p.m. to talk to him and give him his gift. If you've definitely done everything you need to marry him and he seems to reject you, just go to bed. It'll be okay. It's part of the event, unless you actually did mess up. Mason. Who? You can't see him, you never will. He works for May's Tailoring, and every time you buy 5 things, you get to select an option for wanting to talk to him, which will be one of his heart events. You don't have to give him any gifts or save any harvest sprites to marry him. Just talk to him until he proposes. If you marry him, the game ends. You can still keep playing with that save file, but you will never be able to talk to Mason like that again. I actually did marry Mason right before marrying Sky in the same file. I would like more weird candidates like this. Because of the time skip, he is May's grandson. Potpourri, a cute girl who works at the poultry farm. Karen, the cool girl from the supermarket. She's now completely blonde. Ellie, a sweet nurse. Anne, an energetic girl that works at the inn in Mineral Town. She also helps Ruby at her inn when she comes to the valley. Mary, a shy librarian. Kai, a fun-loving guy. You actually don't have to connect to Mineral Town to unlock Kai. No matter what, he comes to the valley during summer and sets up his shop just like in Mineral Town. Rick, a stressed out but friendly farmer. He loves chickens, but he works at Yodel Ranch instead of the poultry farm. Trent, the serious doctor from Mineral Town. He gets to have a name in this one, but because of the 100-year time skip, this is not the same as the original doctor, who is still nameless. Cliff, a quiet boy. I don't recall if he still works at the winery in Mineral Town. Gray, a shy blacksmith. Graphics. It looks very similar to Friends of Mineral Town. It's cute. Music and sounds. The music can be pretty high-pitched. The DS do kind of be like that though. There's seasonal music and also a bunch of records you can get from the Harvest Sprite Jets shop. You can unlock more through things like connecting to Mineral Town, getting married, having a kid. There's some real bops in this game. Replayability. It's pretty darn replayable. There's so many great people to marry, and there's a lot of weird events you'll probably want to view again. I have no problem using all of my save files. There's 2 save files, so since I have both DS and Cute, that's a total of 4 saves for me. Be very careful not to overwrite the wrong save if you're playing on 2 files. Do I recommend? Yes and no. It's a great game if you have a good copy and are careful not to trigger bad glitches. But I get so nervous for other people playing it in case they don't know what they're doing and don't know which version they have. People having their saves corrupted breaks my heart. The characters and events make it really worth it to me. This might end up being the only game where we can ever marry Flora. Wanna hear a thought though? You know how in the Mineral Town remake, they changed how the characters look and it helped to separate them from their 64 versions who are actually different people? And then in the Wonderful Life remake, everyone looks more or less the same because this is just how they're supposed to look. Before, I thought that if we ever got a remake of Wonderful Life or DS, it would be kind of like both combined somehow, but that doesn't make sense with the time skip, so. What if after the Wonderful Life remake, we eventually do get a DS remake where everyone looks different and they all have their Japanese names instead of the same names as their predecessors? I think that would be really cool, honestly. I know people will complain if they look different, but in this case, they really should look different. They should still look related to the Wonderful Life and Mineral Town characters, but not exact clones of them. Marvelous? Please? Please this? I got what I wanted before by wishing for the Wonderful Life remake. Maybe it'll happen again. If you have any questions about these games that I didn't already answer in the video, please feel free to ask in the comments. I will try to help you. And if you have any corrections, I won't be hurt. I know I'm liable to mix some things up after how many farming sims I've played in my life. I'm pretty sure I got things right for this though. Let me know who your favorite characters are if you've already played DS or DS Cute, or really just share any thoughts at all you have about these games. I would love to hear it. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. My Twitter and Patreon are linked in the description, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!